Okay, this looks like we're good. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I want to welcome you and thank you for joining wherever and whenever you are. Here it's 5 p.m. on the West Coast in Los Angeles. Um, you are newly admitted students into the Industrial and Systems Engineering Department. I want to congratulate you on your admission. My name is William Schwerin, Senior Director for Graduate Recruitment here within the USC Viterbi School of Engineering. I'm joined by a number of my colleagues this afternoon, including our faculty chair, Professor Majid Dasuki. He'll be presenting in a few minutes. The format of the webinar, however, I'm going to go through some introductory slides before we dive into the Industrial and Systems Engineering Department information. Should you have question throughout the presentation, that's great. We want to encourage questions. Please do feel free to ask your question in the Q&A portion of your Zoom window. Be patient. Sometimes questions come in fast and furious, and we do try to get to them and address them, but fear not, we'll try to get to your question. So if you have a question, please feel free to ask. And then we'll have time at the end of the presentation. We have some current students from the department who have joined, who can also help answer questions that you may have from a peer-to-peer perspective. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get started. All right, so welcome to Southern California. You are admitted to the University of Southern California. We are excited that you're here on our webinar this evening. I want to congratulate you on your admission. This image is from campus. Beautiful shot of Tommy Trojan. It's a very popular photo op space. And behind Tommy Trojan is our Bovard Administration Building. So we are located in Los Angeles. USC is a private institution, as you hopefully may know. And we want to provide information to help guide your decision on whether or not you choose to enroll. Obviously, we admitted you, so we would love for you to attend school here for your master's degree program, but some considerations for you as you're weighing your options for where you're going to spend the next couple of years of your life, your academic life. Location obviously should be one that we feel is important. And what are your career goals? What do you want to do after you graduate is something you really should start thinking about. How can this propel you to your next step? Strength of alumni networks. How connected is the school to industry if your end goal is to earn a job after earning your degree? And then, things like research opportunities. What can you do in addition to earning your degree or while you're earning your degree are some things that we feel are important to consider. Now, our university, USC, if you look at rankings, we're kind of here and there. We really emphasize cross-disciplinary education. We have a strong diversity of students, not only in the engineering school, but across campus. We actually have more graduate students who study at USC than undergrads. And the same is kind of a similar ratio within the engineering school. We have more graduate students than undergrads. So a lot of very exciting things happening at USC. I like to say on a weekly basis, really. One of the exciting things is this new Center for Generative AI. We're having a new School of Advanced Computing that's going to have its hand in all of our engineering departments. So that is one of the latest things that we're very excited about. Now, within the engineering school, I mentioned we have more graduate students than undergrads. We have a very strong master's student population. But we also have students who earn their degree online as well at the master's level. So that's one of the unique things that I think we're able to offer students, especially studying here on campus, is while we have that online program, a lot of the classes will be recorded and available for watching back. And so that's a valuable study tool. I'm going to skip over these advanced computing slides and talk a little bit more about Los Angeles. I really feel Los Angeles is a great place for a young person. While you're studying, we definitely want to encourage you to explore and really get the most during your time here at USC and in Los Angeles. There's a lot of things to do, and so you really have a chance to grow as a student and as an individual as well. And these are some of the fun things that are fairly close to USC that we like students to participate in. One of the things within our engineering school, one of the resources I should mention is our Viterbi Career Connections office. Now, the university as a whole has a career office for all of its students. Within the engineering school, we actually have a career office representing solely our engineering students, and this career office is very busy. They are a resource for our students to use. There are people employed at the career office whose job is to assist students when it comes time to update the resume, negotiate a salary. This office does a great job putting on events, inviting employers to campus for large events and small events, hosting a number of workshops and seminars. And so they're really a great place for students to, again, prepare for that next step when it comes time to apply for a job or an internship. These are just some of the stats that the career office has provided to us, over 150 plus career activities during the last academic year. So they are very busy throughout the year, and a number of students do take advantage and utilize them. We always encourage our students to get to know our advisors in the career office. If you're interested on seeing where some of the students are employed, we do send a volunteer survey out. It's not mandatory. That we don't get a 100% response rate, but we do publish the data on our website. If you go to our USC Engineer or viterbigradadmission.usc.edu website and go to the program page for each of our programs, there's a tab for career outcomes, and we have data published on that tab based on the responses that we receive. These are just some hiring companies. Again, it's basically a list of some of the more well-known companies as well. So our community, we have a really strong student community. Now, while we have a large student population, there definitely is a small community feel to it, I believe. Our Viterbi Admission and Student Engagement Office does a really good job. One of the programs they offer is a mentorship program for incoming students to be kind of teamed up with a current master's student who has been in your shoes and now will act as a mentor to you. So this is something that they email students about once they decide to pursue enrollment within the engineering school. One of the emails will be about this mentorship program, and you can sign up to be teamed up with a mentor if that's something that is of interest to you. Campus activities, there's no shortage of activities on campus, whether it be from sports or just other guest speaking events. We have guest lecturers. We always have some type of event, it seems like, going on. There's a lot of free food at these events also, which is kind of nice. So again, we definitely encourage students to get involved because you're really getting a full experience while you're engaged here at USC. Okay, safety. So this question comes up from time to time. Safety is the university's top priority for students. We do have an individual patrol office that provides a patrol zone for within about a 2-mile radius of campus. The university also does partner with ride-sharing company Lyft to help give students rides if they need a ride off campus to their apartment that's near campus, as well as other resources available for students. So safety is a top priority here. Now, in terms of housing, there's some limited student housing on campus, but we tell students don't count on receiving on-campus housing. We definitely encourage students to look off campus, as most students do live just off campus. There's hundreds of apartments available. And then I know some students join groups on social media for housing, and there are unofficial groups, but it's always a good question to ask maybe current students or student ambassadors that we have how they receive their housing, if that's something that you're curious about. Do remember, as I mentioned, the sooner you submit your statement of intent, our Viterbi Admission and Student Engagement Office will start emailing you about things like the mentorship program, as I mentioned, information about orientation, which takes place in August, as well as academic webinars and more information on housing. Now, that statement of intent deadline for most of you is going to be April 15th. Okay, so just kind of keep that in mind. If you're admitted after April 1st, which maybe a few of you have been, but your commitment deadline will be a little bit later. But for most of you, the deadline is April 15th. Now, if you're an international student who needs to submit financial documentations, you can still submit your statement of intent by the April 15th deadline. You will need to eventually submit those financial documentations because you will need to receive your I-20 to take to get your student visa at some point. But we definitely encourage to try to get the financial documents in as soon as possible, but just know that you can submit your enrollment without the financial documentation. Okay, so next steps, you can take a virtual campus tour of the university and Viterbi School, some of our areas here. And then I want to highlight this chat with the student ambassador. If you click that QR code, use your phone. We have a great bunch of student ambassadors, more than 25 current students from a variety of different programs, and they're master's students. They've been in your shoes before, along with our great student ambassadors who are joining us today. They've had to weigh their options and ultimately have chosen to attend the Viterbi School of Engineering for their master's program. So I definitely encourage you to reach out and ask them questions as well. Okay, so that will be all of my talking for right now. I want to pass it over to the chair of our Industrial and Systems Engineering Department, Dr. Majid Dasuki. Please do take it away.
Thanks, William. Thanks for that introduction. So I'm Majid Dasuki. I'm the chair of the Industrial and Systems Engineering Department, where you've been admitted to. I've been at USC since 1993, so I'm a wealth of information. So if you have any questions, feel free to share with me. So next slide, David. So I know William went through a lot about the university, so I'm not going to spend much time. But I just wanted to say that we are a pretty big unit, the Industrial Engineering Department. I'll provide some stat, but we're still one unit among this large entity called the University of Southern California, close to 50,000 students. And as William said, we have more graduate students than undergraduate students. We're a very diverse student population and quite a few full-time faculty. Next slide, please. So I'm very pleased to introduce the two student advisors that are here with us today. David Hose, the Director of Student Services, and they'll be speaking to you after I'm giving my presentation. And Alex is also here with us. She's Associate Director of Student Services. David is doing the MS advising of the analytics students, and Alex does all the other MS students. We also have two of our students that are going to be serving in the panel today, Hannah and Natalie, and you'll be hearing from them also along with the student advisors shortly. Okay, next slide, please. So what I'd like to get over with you is discussion about what are the differentiations between different degrees that we offer. What's the method of delivery? Some of the core programs are in DEN, some are not. And then we'll have a question and answer session. So a little bit about the department. The thing that we're really proud of is we're the first named department in the Viterbi School of Engineering. We are the Daniel J. Epstein Department of Industrial and Systems Engineering. Why is that important? Because when we were named, there was an endowment created, and we use these endowments for several things. One is, of course, hiring senior faculty, but another is we have an institute called the Epstein Institute, which supports research projects for undergraduate and master students. A lot of the funded research projects that come from the funding agencies typically are targeted more for the PhD students, but we know that a lot of our undergraduate students and a lot of our master students are very much interested in doing research. And so the department has some money through gifts and through endowment money that supports undergrads and master students do research. The key thing in this, if you're really interested in this, the key thing is really work through a faculty member. The funds are available, but you have to be sponsored by a faculty member. And how do you get a faculty member to sponsor you? Take the courses, get to know the faculty, and then through them, you'll be able to apply for some of these wonderful opportunities that we have. We were, besides being the first named department in the school, we're actually the second named ISE department in the country, and that's only by months. The other institution beat us by a few months. The exciting news is our initial donor has given us additional funds, and that's going to allow us to grow the tenure track faculty. We're actually at 19, I was actually a relatively sized ISE department, but with the latest gift, it's going to allow us to grow to 26. On top of that, when the computer science department moves to the new Ginsberg Hall, they will vacate their building. We're targeted to move all into the new building, and it's going to get remodeled. And the first floor, it's going to be a really nice showcase facility for I would say student meeting rooms, lecture halls, and also a hall for distance education that will have a dedicated one in our floor. And of course, besides just meeting rooms, there's going to be, I would say, places where you can get coffee, just a student hangout rooms for you to hang out with your classmates, and also there'll be places where we can hold events. There'll be such a nice showcase facility. It'll be a nice place where you'll be able to hold events through your student organizations. On top of the 19 tenure track faculty, we have also 8 faculty members who are dedicated to just teaching, whereas in the other 19 both do research and teaching. The 8 are primarily focused on teaching. We also have 3 faculty members who are primarily focused on research, although a couple of them actually do teach one course for us. And one actually particularly teaches the text analytics course and the master's analytics program. So a number of the faculty are mix their research with their teaching. Others dedicate their lives to just teaching. And we have some faculty who have appointments in computer science, EE, the business school, and those joint appointments are across the tenured faculty and the teaching faculty. We do partner, because a lot of the stuff that we are is interdisciplinary in nature. So we do partner with departments outside of just the ISE departments. Next slide, please. So a little bit about the stats in terms of the enrollment. We have 200 current undergraduate students. You're almost everybody, if probably 99.99% of the individuals in this webinar are been admitted to the master's program. So in terms of the master's size, it's 850. And I'll talk about the different master's degrees and the kind of the curriculum of those degrees and the kind of areas that the students want to do when they graduate. We have 50 full-time PhD students, and it's growing. And as I mentioned, we have a lot of centers in the program. Some of our down centers. The one I'm particularly involved with is Metrans, which really focus on metropolitan transportation, and their focuses on both freight and mobility of individuals. We were the first center to house, I would say, a nationally sponsored center by the Department of Homeland Security, and this was done after 9/11. And we have a center on risk and economic analysis of terrorism. We were very fortunate that one of our alumni became a senior executive at Meta, and wanted to sponsor a center on research and education, AI and learning, and it's $1 million a year center given by gift each year by Meta. We have some centers on manufacturing, centers for AI and society, and so we have faculty who are in leadership roles in all these organizations. Next slide, please. So what I'm going to really focus on today is what master's degree and graduate programs are really available within the department and because in our department, we have a pretty open policy in terms of transferring from one major to the next. I mean, you've been admitted to one particular one, but if you have the background, transferring to the other one is not difficult. I mean, it's especially, I can't speak for transferring to other degrees within Viterbi. I know within our department, it's only just something we handle internally, that you work with David and Alex and then make sure that the transition is. So if for some reason you are admitted to one program and through this webinar, even through your first year, you go, oh my gosh, I really prefer this other degree. No reason to stress. We do a lot of movement between the master's degree. Next slide, please. So the little computer screen means that program is available through the Distance Education Network. And so if you look at it, almost all our programs, except the analytics program, and our analytics program is this close to being on DEN also. So pretty soon, all our programs, except for the certificate program, will be available through DEN. So we have the MS in analytics, which is, I would say, so if you look at industrial and systems engineering in general, it's a very broad field. It's spectrum. I would say you have the very quantitative side and you have the very qualitative side. And the two ends of the streams would be the analytics masters and the engineering management. And then you have some more applied courses or curriculum that focus on using these techniques that you learn, either quantitative techniques or qualitative technique in an application like in supply chain or healthcare. And so we have masters in health systems, masters in engineering, masters in industrial systems engineering, and then the OR degree, which is really, I would say, the most methodological degree and the one that focuses the most on modeling. And then you have the MS in product development engineering, which is more of a design and product for those who are interested in the design field or a product management degree. All right, next slide, please. Okay, so I'll first spend some time talking about the MS and analytics degrees. It's really focused on students who are interested in a data science analytics degree. And let me just stop here and say, what's the main differentiation between, let's say, an MS degree, our MS degree in analytics versus, let's say, a data science or a machine learning degree? We, in our analytics degree, you do learn a lot of predictive analytics courses, some NLP, and you have options to take deep learning. But we do more than that. We think of analytics much broader. We also think there's this term called prescriptive analytics, which really means using models to make decisions. And so to do that, you have to really understand techniques like optimization and simulation. So we will have courses that really focuses on decision making and using the predictive models that you learned in a decision making model. So at the end of the day, you are making a decision. You're just not making predictions. You're trying to optimize something. You're trying to control something. And so a lot of the courses you learn are going to be also on the predictive side, but there's also courses that's going to be on the prescriptive side, making decisions. So that's where our students will, I would say, differentiate in terms of curriculum from, let's say, a master's in machine learning or data science. So as I said, there we go. So as I mentioned there, that you do have machine learning, but we're going to also, beyond just the prescriptive analytics, we do have a lot of courses based on applications. We have a course strictly just in financial analytics, which is a very popular course, a business intelligence course, a text analytics, which is primarily an NLP, the application of NLP. And then we have some consulting courses that help you. We have about a cohorts of each year, about 150 students. And it's slightly higher than that. Our students in this degree, really, I would say are STEM students, meaning that they have a strong background in science, technology, and math. And they come in from either engineering, business, economics, math, and computer science. And what they want to do is use quantitative tools to make analytics and business decisions. And so the key thing is that you have a strong quantitative background. And you could pick up, you start off with the basics of probability statistics. And I mean, that's the basics. And of course, math. Those are the basics of any analytics curriculum. And once you come with the basics, we help you proceed on the curriculum to graduate learning all these techniques. And I'll talk a little bit more about the specific techniques that we'll focus on. I think it's almost very difficult because one of the things that you do when you interview, one of the things you interview is you have to talk about a project you worked on. So a lot of times you get those projects through internships. but you need more than just a project. You only have time for really maybe one at most two internships. But a lot of our courses have projects. And my son graduated with this background. And when in his resume, not only did he present his work experience, but he talked a lot about it in his interviews, the projects that he worked on in his courses. So one of the things that we do is, we have quite a few courses which have pretty deep projects in these topics. And these are really kind of resume, well, besides, of course, the experience, which is number one, the most important, but these are very, I would say, resume filler type of courses that really give you an opportunity when you get to that, I mean, you take the last round is, of course, the on-site interview, or whether it's remote or on-site. And the key there is to be able to talk about how you use the techniques in solving a problem. And these projects are a good gateway for that. And as I mentioned, the students are everywhere in consulting, banking, tech companies, manufacturing, and startups. Next slide, please. So, as I mentioned, the key differentiator between our program and, let's say, a data science program is prescriptive analytics. So you have the predictive analytics, as I mentioned. I think actually it should be predictive analytics on that slide instead of predictive analysis. But anyway, it's predictive analytics. And then the optimization. You need to make decisions, you have to optimize something. So that's the 530 class. Those are required courses. And also part of that is that you're working with data. If you get into any role of analytics, you're not gonna be absent of data. So you have to learn how to manage data. And so those are the three fundamental courses in our program. And then we have two types of electives. One is the Group A elective, and that's every course in the Group A is a project-based course, guaranteed that you will have a major project to work on. In the simulation project course, it's going to be a project based on a simulation project. In a data analytics course, it's a project that's going to be based on using predictive analytics and optimization in using real data. The difference between 533 and 534 is 533 tends to tilt more towards the optimization, and 534 tends to tilt more towards the predictive analytics. But they both use both integrated techniques in solving the important problem. And the problems change depend in nature and who's teaching the project. But most of the projects that are taught in these courses are using large data sets and based on real data. And then the other types of elective is based on, let's say, like, for example, if you're interested in the finance, and you would take the financial analytics, text analytics, if you're interested in natural language processing, and then business intelligence, which is actually one of our most popular courses, which is taught by the person, and it uses SAP, which is taught by a person who was a consultant for that company for numerous years. And we also have data mining course, which is a very popular course. On top of that, you'll be given a choice of taking two electives. Now, these two electives can be either from another Group A, another Group B, or it could be something outside the program. The only thing you need to do is get approval from your advisor. Next slide, please. So I would say all our courses are a minimum of 28 units, which means if you have each course is 4 units, it's 7 courses. The engineering management degrees really focus much more on those students who want to be managers, in particular managers of engineers. So if you think about being a manager of engineers, there's some fundamental topics we feel every student should know. If that's, especially in today's world, you should know how to work with numbers. And so we have a course, Statistics for Engineering Managers. We also have a lot of the students who graduate in this role move into a project management, product management roles. Those are the two most common roles for these students in this degree. So we have a course on engineering project management. You got to learn how to lead and manage teams, and that's a course in that. And then the last required course is numbers. I mean, at the end of the day, it has to make any project you work on and you try to sell to your management, it has to make sense numbers wise in terms of the financials. So we take a course in that. Since we live in a technology age, we have one course that's required. It's a pick from any one of the three that is technology based. You are given, again, 2 courses for electives. Now, these are not these tracks are not mandatory, but if you're interested to learn, so we do this just more for, if you're more interested in management, we we suggest some courses that you could take under the management track. If you're interested in supply chain and operations, there's some courses we suggest in that area. If you're interested in learning some more in analytics, there's some courses we suggest that, and the same goes for technology. I would say the reason we set up this degree, more than 80, has students who are interested in taking some certificate programs, especially in virtual. And then what they do is they use the electives to get to meet the certificate program, and they graduate with 28 units, and they're able to pick up a certificate program at Marshall. Next slide, please. Can we switch to the ISE one? They come back to this. So the ISE degree, I would say, so you have the engineering management degree, which is relatively a qualitative degree, although you could focus on some electives on some quantitative degrees. And then you have the analytics degree, which is a relatively very quantitative degree. Then you have the IC degree, which is more of an applied degree, and it focuses on both the quantitative and the quantitative. So, but since a lot of the students in this major go into supply chain and operations, we have two courses that are required in that area, one on inventory systems and one on production planning and schedule. And of course, we have engineering project management as one of the required courses, because you do still have to have some kind of experience dealing with some of the qualitative issues associated with being an engineer. In addition, we have a Group A elective, which is kind of build your strengths in some methodology area, whether it's optimization, linear programming, or simulation. And then as I said, a lot of the students go in this degree go into operations or quality, and then we have some courses that you could take in that domain, whether it's lean, design of experiments, or quality management. And again, we have an elective that I would say in the qualitative area. And finally, you have one approved elective that you're free to take. And then there again, you go to your advisor to get the approval. Next slide, please. So I would say this course differentiates from the MS analytics degree. They're both quantitative degrees, but the MS analytics is more focused on using data to make decisions. This is a methodological, much more of a methodological and modeling degree. And as you see, there's less courses on data analytics in this degree. It's more of a methodological program, and it uses a lot of modeling. So that the key modeling and methodological courses in OR are linear programming, Markov models, which is stochastic processes, simulation. There's some IT that's involved, and that's why our 583 is required, and never flow. So there's really 5 core courses. You have one free elective, and then you also have one elective that requires you to go deeper in one topic. Next slide, please. Can I go back to the healthcare one? I missed that. Okay, so I want to go back to here. The differentiation between this and the IC degree is it's basically the IC degree, but it focuses it all in one application, the healthcare industry. So you can see where you have the healthcare operations and modeling courses, but they're all using healthcare. The reason we quality, so the courses you saw that were in the IAC curriculum are differentiated from these ones because all these courses have healthcare focus. And then it's a joint degree with the medicine school, the Keck School of Medicine. And so you do have some Keck students involved and who take these courses in your cross-pollinate. Again, this degree is very, very practice-oriented in terms of, for example, there's a 509 course where basically working on real projects that you're working in with healthcare organizations. The ratio of jobs for graduates in this program is very high. We have more jobs that are available than students graduating in this major. This major is highly sought by the hospitals in Southern California. And the person who leads this, David Belson, has been working in the industry. I wish he was here today. He has tremendous connections in the field. He has a very excellent job of placing students in these healthcare areas. But this degree is for someone who's interested in the healthcare industry, right? That's the first question you have to ask yourself. And once you ask yourself, the answer is yes, then this is a very attractive degree. Please, the next slide. So this is the last master's degree, and this is, I won't spend much time, but it's really mostly for those who are interested in design and product management. And again, it's a 28 unit program. We have two core courses. One is a kind of innovative design, and the other one is an innovation course. And then there's two tracks, but most of the students that are in ISE focus more on the management specialization track and not the technology track. So I would say the one that would mostly apply for the students who were admitted to this program as ISEs, they're probably looking at the management specialization track. Next slide, please. So where are students going? So I'll be very quick. I know I'm running late. I'm sorry, I apologize. So I'll make this really quick. As you can see, EY, KPMG, PwC, consultant is a big hire of our students. Another big hire of our students, technology. We don't have it. It should say Meta, not Facebook, but you have Uber, Facebook, Microsoft, and then you have Apple, all hire from our students. You have the manufacturers, Boeing, SpaceX, Mattel, General Mills, and then you have I would say the media companies and the entertainment companies, NBC and Disney. They're all over. And you have the transportation logistics companies like Amazon and UPS. And I'll stop here, I believe.
That's fantastic. Thank you
So I'll
so
pass it
much.
back to you. Yep.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thank you so much. So I want to introduce the two advisors, David and Alexandra. Maybe if you could just introduce yourselves for the students who may be getting to know you a little bit more in the future before we go to our current students.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for attending. My name is David Ho. I'm the Director of Student Services for the ISE department. I advise all analytics students.
Hi, everyone. My name is Alex. I am the Associate Director for Industrial and Systems Engineering Student Services, and I advise everybody outside of analytics. So too many majors to count, but we're looking forward to seeing you all.
Great, thank you. Now would be a great time. If you have questions, please do feel free to enter them in the Q&A. I'd like to bring up our current students who are joining us this evening. Natalie and Hannah. Hello there. Natalie, Hannah, maybe if you can introduce yourselves, what you're studying, where you're currently located, and I guess where you did your undergrad. I'll start with you, Natalie.
Hi, everyone. My name is Natalie. I don't remember everything you just mentioned, but I'm an ISE student, and I am currently doing my master's through the DEN program. I did my undergrad at Cal Poly Pomona, also in industrial engineering, and I currently work full-time at JPL.
I think you covered all of them, so you're good.
Okay, great.
Hannah, if you don't mind sharing.
Hi, everyone. My name is Hannah Cho. I'm a second-year master's student studying ISE. I did my undergrad in SUNY Binghamton. I studied math, and I am currently located in Los Angeles.
Great. Thank you both for joining. I'll start with a couple questions, I guess, for both of you. Ultimately, what led you to your decision to choose USC maybe over other schools?
I would say that two of the biggest reason I chose USC over other school is first, like we talked about in the beginning, the presentation, location. We are like connected, the location wise, we are connected to a lot of companies, industries. The second reason is a strong alumni network. There's many networking events going on campus, even online on Zoom. And yeah.
Thank you, Hannah. Natalie. Yeah.
I chose USC because I realized there were very few master's programs for industrial and systems engineering that allowed the flexibility of the DEN network. And after going through my undergrad during COVID, I realized that I actually prefer online school. And I'm very happy to report that the DEN program setup was just the right kind of program for me to be able to be successful in pursuing a master's at the same time as having a full-time job. And I also compared a lot of the different programs under the ISE department, but found that the ISE program itself gave me the most flexibility in terms of, like was mentioned previously, qualitative and quantitative study that I could apply to my work.
And did you have a job and then come back to school, or did you start out in ISE and then get your job and then switch to DEN?
I started full-time and then came back to school.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll throw out another question for you both. If you were to do it all over again, now that you're both a year plus into your program, what are some things, and it's okay if it takes a minute to think of, what is something that, you know, maybe you wish you would have known prior to coming to USC that, you know, wisdom that you can share for someone who's thinking about, you know, coming here? I'll give you a minute to think on that. Maybe we can come back to that. So in terms, Hannah, I'll ask you, how did you, in terms of housing, I know that we had some students submit questions in the registration. One of them that I saw was regarding housing. I'm curious, you know, don't tell us where you live, but how did you go about finding housing and going through that process?
I personally chose to live off campus compared to on campus because it financially made more sense. And there's a lot of way to find off-campus housing, and one of the way is joining USC off-campus housing group. There are several off-campus housing groups, and some of them are focused on graduate students. There's a lot of posts there, people looking for roommates or landlords trying to rent out their room. One of the thing I would say that is make sure you tour the place before you sign a lease, send money, anything, because Facebook housing group is a very good place to find a good housing, but there is also people who is trying to take advantage of you.
Mm-hmm. That's, yeah, definitely great advice. I'll ask it another way, kind of my previous question. How have you felt the transition going from an undergrad program into a master's program? How has that, is it what you expected? You know, Hannah, you said, I believe you said you went from math, right? How was that going from math into like a program in ISE?
I think it was a little tricky because even in my math degree, I did take a summer class about Lean Six Sigma, which is a huge concept in ISE. But since a lot of my classes were only focused in math, I wish I had more expectations or to know what am I going to learn in the program and have a more of a engineering background just to prepare myself more. So I think answering your previous question, I think that would be something I would do something differently if I can go back, just to learn more about what the program entails and just be more prepared about what am I going to learn so I can apply it better in school and also after I graduate when I work.
Great, thank you. And Natalie, for you coming from Cal Poly Pomona, how was that kind of transition from an undergrad to a grad program?
It was, well, I did have the ISE background coming into this program, but I also will say that there's a good amount of basics being reviewed and kind of just to refresh your memory at the beginning of the courses. So if there might have been something I missed or it's been a while since I've studied that, there was no issue in me kind of jogging my memory or the professor being able to re-explain things. I've never felt like I couldn't ask a question or I was supposed to know something already coming in. So it's been really encouraging in this whole education journey.
Thank you. That actually, it leads me to a question I actually was hoping to ask our chair who's joining today, in terms of advice for students who are going to enroll. Do you recommend any books that they read, or should they do any kind of studying beforehand, before starting to take classes? Like if you have any advice, if anything like that is needed.
I don't think it's necessary or needed, but if there's anything that you could never, if you know enough, like if you know Python, freshen up yourself in Python. If you're going to the analytics degree, if you're going, it really becomes more of kind of, let's say, the program focus, right? So if you're really going to analytics degree, you really want to focus on Python. If you're going to the engineering management degree and you don't really have a background in IE, you may want to, you know, pick a book on lean or something that is Natalie, no, I think it was Hannah was saying, something that, you know, more talks a little bit about the philosophy kind of behind of the profession at kind of like the higher level. So, but it's not necessary. I would say the one that would be mostly useful, especially if you're going into one of the more quantitative degrees, is something if you could brush up on. I mean, we'll teach you Python, but it's always it's so when you're learning it from us, you're learning it in context of the of the of the course topic. Whereas before, hopefully you have the basics, so that way when you're going into it, you can focus on really the context as opposed to the mechanics.
Very helpful. Thank you. It doesn't, I don't, you know, I don't know if we have any questions from the audience, but you know, if we don't, I mean, I don't want to keep you beyond, you know, beyond what's necessary. I do want to thank you, obviously, Professor, for joining. Alex and David, thank you so much. Hannah and Natalie, appreciate taking the time out of your schedules as well. So yeah, I guess this webinar is getting recorded. We will post it in a few days on our website, and you know, we can let you know. We'll send emails to our registrants to let them know when it's up, so they can watch. But I do want to thank everyone. I'm going to close the webinar now, and really appreciate everyone taking the time out. So with that, yeah, have a good evening. Bye.